GM and welcome to another Digital Punks episode, your one-step destination for music, NFTs and Web3 with Chris and Lucas. Today we got Josh Schwartz, aka Shwaz, as our guest, and we couldn't be more excited about this. Josh is a multi-talented individual with background in the TV industry, passion for songwriting, comedy, content creation, and now he found a new creative outlet through NFTs and his early membership in the Bored Ape Yacht Club, leading him to combine all of his interests and create Shilly. Shilly is a Bored Ape NFT brought to life by him. And yeah, Shilly serves as the virtual lead artist for the pop-punk project that shares the same name. Currently, Shilly has two primary collections on the market. The access passes consisting of 3,500 NFTs and the rarer band passes with a supply of only 500 NFTs. Shilly takes community building to the next level by providing fans with voting rights for future songs, opportunities to collaborate on songs, licensing of NFT characters for music videos, and a lot of other exciting benefits. We're really thrilled to have Shwaz on as a guest, talk about his musical journey, about Shilly, how he, Shwaz, entered the Web3 space, what the future holds for Shilly. So yeah, let's dive right in, and we hope this inspires a lot of you out there listening. Let's go.
So welcome to another episode. We've got the amazing Shwaz today, the manager of Shilly. Shwaz, great to have you here with us today. Tell us a bit about yourself, how you grew up, what music influenced you.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. So I grew up in New Jersey, suburban New Jersey, so like 40 minutes outside New York City. It was a very kind of typical suburban community where, you know, there are a bunch of skater kids, and I was definitely in that crew, even though I didn't skate. Like I attempted to skate, but knew that like I liked the vibe of it. I like the feel of skater kids, but I just like wasn't good at it. So I think I learned to kickflip, and I was like, that's good enough for me. But I got really into the music. You know, I got into punk rock and all that, and gravitated more to like the band playing side than the skateboarding side. But yeah, I just, you know, actually one of my best friend growing up is a guy named Noah. We've been best friends since kindergarten to now, and he's my partner on this project still. And he shout out Admiral Fun on Twitter, and he was like you know how some people are just like born to be musicians. Like he has, you know, the perfect pitch. He was taking like piano lessons when he was like 6 years old. He like I always kind of followed him, and he kind of brought me into like, you know, I was not born to be a musician. I just kind of was lucky enough to be around like incredible musicians. And I just got super into songwriting, and we started, you know, writing songs together, and we wanted, back in the day, we wanted to be like Blink-182 and Fall Out Boy and all that. That's what was kind of, you know, it was the early 2000s. So it was like the early emo, you know, pop punk movement, Warped Tour, all that. And we were just like, that was our thing. That's, you know, that's what we aspired to be, for sure. I forget what the original question is. I just like went on a huge tangent.
I was going in the right direction.
Yeah.
The next question would be, when did it click? When did you know, okay, I want to become a musician? And of course, you already said, okay, you love the punk music, pop punk, Warped Tour. But when did you decide, okay, I wanna make music?
It was there was this record label called Drive Through Records, and they had a lot of artists like Newfound Glory and like the Starting Line and the Early November. And when I was like 12 or 13, we were watching their DVDs. You know, they had these like behind the scenes DVDs, and it showed like these bands on the road. And I was just obsessed with like the lifestyle and like the idea of being able to like travel around with, you know, your friends and kind of just be idiots and, you know,
have a
like
good
that,
time.
Yeah. That was always kind of the dream for me, even before I like actually learned how to like write music or like I was just like I wanted to be a I wanted to be a rock star. I wanted to do that. Yeah.
And what kind of instruments do you play actually?
So I play guitar and bass. Here's a guitar. I have just got a new bass.
Nice.
Yeah. I in our band growing up, I was the bassist. I've always like, for me, I took like guitar lessons, and I think I got to a point where I felt like I was good at like, I never learned to like solo or shred. Like it never really appealed to me. Like I always just wanted to like learn all the chords so I could write songs, impress girls, that kind of thing. So I feel like I've been playing for a long time, but I kind of plateaued at a certain point and didn't like bother getting any better. So, yeah, but guitar, bass, I know I could play some like keyboard, stuff like that.
Was that also like because you said you started with bass, and I can resonate with that because I started actually playing bass, and then I switched to guitar because I wasn't able to write songs on a bass so well.
Oh no, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, acoustic guitar to me, is probably what I'm playing the most, and just writing songs to chords.
So you're basically the main writer, right, of Shilly?
I would say it's very much a band. We have like four guys that have written together. So the 2 songs we've released so far, we actually wrote those before the voice of Shilly came into the equation. So I had written both of those songs, and kind of took them to Noah, who's the producer and really is like he executes everything. I really like focusing on like big picture and song structure and lyrics and all that, and then I bring it to him usually, and we kind of put it together, and he executes. And then in the case of those 2 songs, we brought on the voice a little bit after, so it was a lot of moving the key up first of all, because when I'm writing songs, it's usually a lot lower, and Shilly obviously has a
higher voice,
quite a good range, as it turns out. But since the voice has come into the band, we've really been writing kind of as a group, and then now obviously with the introduction of this like community, we've been writing with other people in the community a little bit. So that's been really, I mean, we'll get more into that, but that's been a really cool experience as well.
And I mean,
sounds amazing.
So you're part of the Bored Ape Yacht Club, right? So you bought a Bored Ape. Like, what was?
Yeah.
I'm interested. What was like, because there's a lot of things happening in the ecosystem. What is like some of the most interesting and unexpected experience you've had as a Bored Ape holder, either in the Yacht Club community or as a result of you owning the NFT?
Oh man, I mean, a lot of times when they've just been like, "Yo, here's this thing," and then people want to pay you a lot of money for it. It's been a crazy it's been a crazy experience, because I mean I bought, so this was the first Bored Ape Shilly was the first Bored Ape that I bought. I bought it, I think it was the day that they minted out.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, it really, at that time, NFTs kind of felt very different than they do now. I don't remember buying it thinking that I was gonna like make money. Like it was 0.25 ETH, and that was like a ton. That was the most I've ever spent on an NFT at that point. And I was not thinking like, is this a good financial investment? I was just thinking like,
let's go.
I was just I was just seeing all these other people kind of show off their apes, and I was like, I want to also have one of those.
I want to flex.
Yeah. It really wasn't like, is this a good investment? Like I was like, that's the most money that I can imagine. 0.25 ETH. That's not going to go up. How could it go up? So I really, so I kind of bought it not expecting a whole lot, and then just being part of that community and seeing that was the first time you really saw kind of the power of one of these NFT communities, and the fact that they gave out the IP. It kind of, I mean, we did it much later, but early on, people were right away like creating, even if they weren't creating companies or artists right away, they were creating like art, and derivatives. And it was people kind of going their own way, like using their apes and building building out the whole ape pipe thing. And that was just crazy to see. And then obviously, like I bought more apes and just got like very invested in that, and was definitely like a degen for a while. I mean, the craziest, I mean, I feel like the first mutants, when the mutants came out, that was the first time it was like, here's a free thing. And then we were like, wait a minute, like they just airdropped us this, and this is the amount that people want to buy it from us for. That that was wild. And that was wild. But I mean, I've been to both of the Ape Fest, and they've really offered some amazing experiences to the community.
It was great.
Did you go
there on the Monday? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you were there.
Oh, the last one?
Yeah.
Yeah. I went to, I think, Tuesday and Thursday. Nice. I went to the one with Wednesday and Thursday. I went to the one with Snoop.
With Snoop and Eminem. Yeah.
Eminem, even though he didn't perform for some reason. I thought that it's like,
it was kind of odd.
It is weird. It's like, is he that much more? Do you have to pay him that much more for him to like rap?
Yeah, that was probably just the fee for showing up.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. It's like, he's there. He can't like rap a little bit. Does he need just rap like one verse, man? Give me like without me. Just whatever you want to do.
One verse. You said that NFTs felt different back then in comparison to now. What did you mean by that?
There definitely wasn't that expectation. There was a feeling that we were involved in like a new technology, something exciting, but it wasn't very early. It wasn't so much just around the idea of making money. And then I think it became that for a long time. And I think right now it's at a little bit of a crisis, existential crisis, where people are realizing it, like, there's not a lot of ways to make money in it anymore. So how could these NFTs actually have utility, and how could the technology, do things beyond just make people money? So I think this is like a really important moment, and I think we're going to come out the other side much better. But I think right now, like we're reckoning with that. If that makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So you buying this Bored Ape, was that your first touch point with NFTs and crypto, or were you in the industry for a bit of time before that?
So actually, for NFTs, I started on the art side with Nifty Gateway, and that was probably like February 2021, so a couple months before Apes came out. I've always been kind of into art and never been able to like collect art, so it was really cool to see that like you could kind of collect these artists, and that was my first exposure to NFTs. And I think there was kind of like a small bull market for art NFTs. Yeah, when Beeple first did that Chrissy sale, so I was around for that. And then like that market really kind of cooled down, but I still kind of was in this community of collectors that I met just through that. And at some point somebody showed up with a Bored Ape, and we were like, oh crap, like this is something. And that was really the first time I realized like I had never used OpenSea. It was very kind of nifty. It was just like Nifty Gateway with this small marketplace. And then I was doing a little bit of like Top Shot too. But Bored Apes definitely brought me into that, like the bigger, ecosystem of all these kinds of NFTs.
Nice. And then you started Shilly as your own project. Were there any projects before that?
That I started?
Part of? Yeah.
No, not really. I've invested in some projects. I have some friends that like create a company called Carrot DAO that I invested in, but I haven't been like on the team of an NFT project. And it was really important to me to kind of like be patient. And I mean, early on, I feel like everybody was, it was very easy to kind of jump in and make a PFP project and cash out. But I was seeing that the half-life of those was very short. People would release a project, make some money, realize they didn't have it didn't have anything going for it. Maybe they made some promises that they couldn't deliver on.
Yeah.
And they would kind of go kaput, and then people would call it a rug, and that just didn't look fun to me. I know, like, it for certain people that like don't care, don't give a shit, and could just like like the scammers, like they love it, but I didn't want to like go through all that. So I knew that I kind of wanted to wait until there was an idea, there was something that I was passionate about, something that I actually wanted to do for a long time, beyond like just selling NFTs. So I mean, this was a long time. Like, we knew pretty early on that we wanted to like make music and incorporate the Bored Ape, and but we were very careful about like taking our time with it. And
nice. Can you tell us a little bit about the process from getting there to the actual release of the NFTs, from the planning?
Yeah. So I would say, like, I wrote I'm Boring probably over a year ago, which was like the first song. And it started with the music for us, and to me, it's always like we're making a recording artist, a music artist. Like, the music is the number one thing. So yeah, like we kind of had the abstract idea that, we wanted to turn my Bored Ape into either, a solo artist or kind of create a band or something like that. But, we like I said, we grew up on this kind of music. And we noticed that it's kind of come back pretty hard. There's a lot of Gen Zers, I guess, that have been incorporating that kind of music into like newer hybrid styles. I know, like, MGK, for example. He went from rap and kind of, I mean, he put out like his first pop punk album is really solid. And I
really love it.
Yeah, it's great. And I mean, what Travis Barker has done with a lot of like the newer artists.
Of course.
Yeah. So we were really inspired by that, and just kind of started, writing music like that. And actually, like, over, starting about a year ago, we wrote like probably like 15 to 20 songs. We wrote a ton of songs. And then simultaneously we were kind of, thinking about the character and the whole, like what he would be about. We were huge Blink-182 fans. And one thing that I love about Blink-182 is that, they didn't take themselves very seriously. They were very self-deprecating. I'm also very into comedy. So, and I feel like a lot of my comedic inspiration was from like Tom DeLonge. And just like, I mean, I know you've like been in our Discord. Like, I love dick jokes. I feel like I love, like, the eggplant has become like our mascot.
To say the eggplant.
Yeah. So, to me, like, if you're turning a monkey into a recording artist, like, you shouldn't take yourself too seriously. It's kind of silly. And I also think, when we're talking about onboarding, even though I hate that word, but appealing to the rest of the world beyond Web3, they think NFTs are stupid. They think cartoon avatars are stupid. And the best way to appeal to them is to say, yeah, we know, we agree, but check it out. Like, the music is fucking cool, so deal with it. So that's kind of like the character we wanted to create. kind of one of the earliest ideas was the idea that he hates NFTs. He doesn't know he's an NFT really. He doesn't like come to terms with that. And then a little later when we were making the video, we got permission from the Hundreds to use the NFTs are a scam shirt, because like that just fits so well into like this character we were building. So a lot of last year was not so much thinking about like the Web3 NFT side of it, but really building out like the character and the vibe and the music. And then, I think late last summer, we really kind of focused things and, decided we were going to make a music video, and that was going to be kind of like the coming out party. And that was going to, put Shilly on the radar. And then we were going to create this, this community around Shilly. And then as we were kind of planning that out, we really kind of came up with this bigger Web3 concept of how to, create community around an artist that could be more than just like fans, but also very collaborative.
Right. So you're really feeding off of these 1,000 true fans theory as well, right? You don't need a million streams on Spotify, but you need a few 1,000 true supporters that are going along. And I think like one of the narratives that I picked up on as well is this collaborative aspect. I think Lucas, you said it, Lucas. There's you can do future songs together with Shilly. So you're, which is also something that a lot of brands are embracing, right? I'm thinking about Lacoste there, that are making people that are buying the NFTs part of their brand creation process, and that's kind of like what you're going as well, right? You're going from the storytelling aspect to the story living aspect, that people are part of his story, basically, right?
Absolutely. I mean. Considering that, Shilly is a digital avatar, we realize he doesn't have to be like one human. We don't have to say like, oh, this is the person behind Shilly. Yeah. So at first we were saying, okay, we're this band. But as we opened up this community, we kind of realized, oh, like Shilly is just like, this is Shilly. Shilly is the
community.
Yeah. It's like the cover of the book, and the community is, fills the pages. And I think that's a pretty novel idea. And it works really well. It works really well with a digital artist that is not, a literal human. You could really create something that is not, that is just a combination of a lot of people's input and ideas, and it comes across as one vision.
Speaking of vision, can you tell us a little bit about the access and the band passes, which are the main collections, basically? What's your vision for those?
Yeah, so there are two different collections. There's the band pass collection, and then there's the access passes, which are the GA and the backstage. And the way we see the GA and the backstage are like, these are, again, I don't like using the word fan, but they're like, elevated fan access passes. It's where you're getting like the insider access, you're getting token gated access to metaverse concerts. You're gonna be the first people to hear all the new music. In the case of the backstage pass, you're gonna have the ability to license NFT and IP into into content, commercial content, songs, covers, music videos, whatever. And you're also getting, votes and inputs on all of, major Shilly decisions. And we're creating a full collaborative platform that all of this is going to be a lot more, easier to input.
Easier than on Discord, right?
Easier than on Discord. And we've been using Discord right now, and kind of have started playing around with it. But I think Discord has limitations. So, so we're working with a partner that is building a full collaborative platform for us. And that should be ready soon. but yeah, the GA and the backstage are always going to have, they got the airdrops of the strings. They are, they're always going to have exclusive access. We also, our vision for like the broader Soundboard Digital, which is like the parent company above Shilly, is that we want to replicate Shilly with other kinds of artists. So, where Shilly is the first community produced recording artist, we want to create different kinds of recording artists. A female recording artist, a girl group, a boy band, whatever. And we really see our community of holders as we see it as an incubator for the next, the next iterations of these characters. So, we want to, there's so much talent we've seen already among our holders. So finding, the next NFT artist, and it could be pairing, NFT IP with another voice, that sort of thing. And then the band pass is, there's only 500. This is the pool of talent that we are using exclusively for Shilly music and art. So anything, so if the example I always use is, if Snoop Dogg reaches out and wants to collaborate, he can't unless he has a band pass. Right. And maybe I'll send him a band pass. But if not, we like the band pass community would have to like vote on it, honestly, because this is who we're working with. And so what we've done so far is kind of created a sort of audition process where we've put forward, parts of songs, call outs for different instrumental needs. Like, we need a solo in this section. We need this instrument. We need like a rapper over this part. And only band pass holders will be able to like submit for these different call outs. And then also art, we've already worked with a bunch of artists in the band pass community. And any content we create, videos, anything else, we're going to use our pool of band pass holders to create that.
It's pretty amazing if you think about it. I mean, basically you're building a circle of like a media house around the artist, that you can feed from. And, it's not a one-sided thing that just one party contributes from it, one party benefits from it, but really both parties, and you feel part of the experience. So
yeah, absolutely. And, at the end of the day, they're access passes, right? So we've, no one's like guaranteed to get, a songwriting credit with Shilly or, featured on a Shilly song. Right. And that would be technically a security, right? If everyone is guaranteed some kind of payout just for holding, that's a security, and that's no fun anyway. This gives you the opportunity, at the end of the day, it's about, it's about talent, but a lot of people don't get a chance to like, get in the door. You just don't get the opportunity. And it's so hard to be heard and seen. And there are people all over the world and amazing musicians all over the world that don't have the connections to kind of get in the door and write with, other musicians.
True.
So this is just it's just opening the door, I think, and creating a more like collaborative space and democratized like way of creating.
It's amazing. So we have the access passes, the band passes, but you already brought in some game theory with the wires, right? Can you tell people a little bit about that and why you chose bringing in some game theory as well here?
Yeah, so we knew we were going to do an airdrop. I think most NFT projects, so many NFT projects have done airdrops that now it's pretty much expected that you're going to do some kind of airdrop thing. And I mean, I remember like the day after we sold out, people were like, when airdrop? And we're like, really?
First day?
Really? Yeah. So we knew we were going to do an airdrop at some point, but so many airdrops are just airdropping people nothing. You're airdropping people a piece of art, and there's 4,000 editions of it, and here, congratulations, you get this thing that nobody else is going to want, but good for you. And we definitely didn't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So, kind of, we came up with an idea that could kind of flow into the broader Shilly ecosystem. And we knew that we've always, one of the earliest ideas was that we wanted to create a Shilly signature guitar collection. And
Nice.
And those, metaverse ready guitars that will eventually, be playable and interactive, and, create game experiences and all that. So, we came up with this airdrop idea of airdropping people wires
Mm-hmm.
that can be burned for different kinds of strings, guitar strings. And there's going to be a bunch of different kinds of guitar strings that you could burn for.
Yeah.
And then when we start releasing guitars, we're hoping the Genesis guitar will be over the next month or so. When we start releasing guitars, each guitar is going to release with a string, a tuning requirement, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, a basic guitar might require you to burn E, A, D, G, B, E, which is like a standard tuning.
Mm-hmm.
But more complicated guitars will have more complex tunings.
Mm-hmm.
This is just, this is kind of, I've realized that a lot of what we're building is bigger, long-term ideas. Metaverse, we're building into the metaverse. We're working on like music and live performances, and a lot of this stuff takes time.
Mm-hmm.
And the NFT space hasn't gotten very good at patience.
Right.
And
True.
But which is just something you have to kind of work around. Yeah. So you really have to balance like the bigger long-term stuff with the short-term fun. And so this is more of a short-term fun thing that, keeping people engaged with this kind of like gamified experience, but it's also not nonsense. There's a point to it, and it actually flows into the bigger thing we're building, which is, the metaverse performances, the metaverse world, and guitars are going to be part of that. So it'll intersect at the end.
So will there only be guitars or other instruments as well?
I will say that there won't only be 6 strings as a requirement. There might be 4 strings, and that
7,
maybe 7.
We're getting in corn territory, yeah.
Actually, yeah, I was just talking to somebody about that recently, and I didn't realize that Korn used 7 strings, but they were a big Korn fan. 12 strings, definitely possible. But if it's a 4-string guitar, then it would be a bass or maybe perhaps a ukulele.
Nice.
Yeah. Other instruments in the future, definitely, potentially. I think that wouldn't be strings, so
yeah.
So you were talking a little bit about the metaverse experience. So you're building, and you also said you're thinking about moving on from Discord. Is that also playing into the narrative of you building a platform which is a little bit more immersive, where people can interact with each other?
Yeah. So I wouldn't say we're moving on from Discord. I would just say we definitely don't want to rely on Discord for especially all the Web3 things, all the token gated, holder things. Yeah, we are building in Spatial right now, which has been really amazing. And, that kind of came about because, a lot of people in the Bored Ape community have been kind of just waiting for the other side. And we didn't want to just, wait around for whenever that's going to be. I mean, I know those guys are building something amazing, but, we wanted to start the whole, there are metaverses right now, like Spatial, where you could go in right now, and there are, artists doing live metaverse performances and their worlds being created with quests and gaming. And we wanted a part of that. So, we've gotten close with the spatial team, and we're building a whole metaverse world, and it's going to be, bigger than just Shilly. It's going to be really a music venue,
Okay.
with games and all this stuff. I kind of, the way that I pitched it is like Warped Tour meets Coachella on a tropical island. So it's like, all in one, but which I realize is actually pretty much Fire Festival.
I was going to say, I didn't want to say it.
It's fun, but it's fun. It's fun. So like when we pull this off, and I'm going to be like, it's like Fire Festival, but we pulled it off
in the metaverse.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
It's like Fire Festival if it was actually like their plans. So that's. But I think actually we also want to like make fun of it. So we'll probably have like cheese sandwiches in there. Or what did they serve at Fire Festival? It was like a cheese sandwich and a piece of lettuce.
It was something terrible, definitely.
Yeah. So that's what we're I've been really exploring spatial and the way musicians are using it. And there's one artist called Stilo, and he has this big venue called Stilo World. And it's really cool. And so our world is being built, and it probably will take a few months. But we just have barely announced it, but there was a tweet today that we're doing this like live performance at NFT NYC. And it's at this really amazing space at this event called the Nolcha event, which is it's at this incredible art space with 360 immersive screens. And we're going to do like the debut Shilly performance.
Nice.
And we're going to, I don't know the proper terminology for this, but we're going to live, like not live stream, because we're going to have, using motion capture tech, we're going to send it into the spatial metaverse. So we're going to have like parallel performances at the same time in real life, and Shilly performing on a stage in spatial. And it should be interesting. It's going to be a very short performance. This is kind of a proof of concept thing. It's going to be about 8 to 10 minutes. We're going to play a couple songs. But it's going to be really cool. We've been working a lot on it, and it's really about kind of planting the seed of like what the future is going to look like with live performance in the metaverse, and like the metaverse
in the same time
coming into real life and back
Amazing.
And forth. Yeah.
Would that be token gated?
That's the plan for sure. And yeah, I mean, as we grow, we want always our holders are going to have access to, metaverse events,
special perks.
Right. Potentially, hopefully in the future, we'll be able to, we'll charge the public for access, but our holders will always have token gated access.
So it's I mean, it's still definitely in the plans. You've got this Web3 community and the collectors that are going to benefit most, but is also in your plans to, let's say, like in the future, maybe give it a few years when people will get a little bit more, used to collecting, digital collection, and more immersive experience, when we're starting to wear like augmented reality glasses, going down the street, etc., for directions, etc. And we're using virtual reality glasses sometimes. But so when the technology becomes a little bit more adopted by people, is there still a second route that you want to go, not just through Web3 technology, but onboarding also others that might not be, first off, want to collect an NFT, but still want to, interact with music?
Absolutely. And the way I think about it is, there are always going to be, in Web2 music, there are fair weather fans, or fair weather music listeners that just, the only way, they just interact with music by streaming it, maybe going to some concerts. but they're not gonna, they're not getting the behind, fan interaction perks.
Yep.
They don't need all that stuff, but they're still consumers. They're still streaming music. They're still going to concerts. And I think that's what we aim to do, with Shilly and the other artists we're building. Like we want to have this core group of holders who are participants in the ecosystem, who have this kind of special access. But we want our music to be heard by everybody, and we want to, push it out into the world to where anybody could listen to it. Anybody can, buy merchandise if they're a fan of the music. Anyone could, pay for a ticket into, one or two metaverse events to see it live without having to, be part of the ecosystem. Like, a lot of people don't have time for all that stuff. They have a lot of people have a life, and they just want to like listen to music and maybe go to a concert every couple months. And I think with the metaverse, that'll be a lot more, people could interact with live music a lot more often, maybe a couple times a week. You put on your goggles and your Oculus, and you're checking out an event. But there's always going to be, there's always going to also be the people that want special access, that want input, want to have their input, the super fans. And that's what the holders will always be.
Makes sense. So one thing that would really interest me is, in the current music NFT space, we see a lot of artists entering, they're experimenting. We've got Rio Kragon, TK, etc., that are putting out collections that are really successful. Some of these collections, there's other musicians that are supporting them, music producers. So the circle of artists and people in the space, it feels a little bit like a musician supporting another musician. What like from your perspective needs to happen for, let's say, like more real fans to come in to appreciate the experiences that people are doing in that space?
I think first and foremost, like the music just has to be really good, like the music. And there's a lot of like, I'm not a fan of a trend where a lot of the NFT music is about NFTs. It's about like Web3. It's very meta and very like directed at the community, and not just like, let's make great music. Let's use this technology, to create communities, but just, great music that anyone, could enjoy. So yeah, it's just having native Web3 artists that are really good, and not just like niche, NFT musicians. One that comes to mind, Kathleen Regan is one of my favorite artists, and she's,
love her.
She's, she's been using NFTs, and I mean, she's just like somebody that I could see blowing up. She reminds me of like a Phoebe Bridgers and stuff like that. Just I think good music, and really showing people outside of the space that music NFTs, that there could be a point to them, that there could be a utility, and kind of going back to like how we started the conversation, there's still this association with NFTs as, a way to make money, as like a financial instrument, as, they're like stocks, and really, separating that stigma and focusing the utility of music NFTs. I think for us, it's like really highlighting the ability to build a community and like reward loyalty and collaboration, and kind of leading with that, and not leading with like, look at the floor price of this NFT, look at the volume on this collection, they're killing it. Because to me, all the people that care about that stuff are already here, and now the rest of the world, like they're just, they're like, I don't do stocks. Like, I'm not
I'm not interested in that.
I have a job. That's how I make my money. I'm not like a risky person. I like music though. I like, talking to artists. So you got to lead with that stuff now. Lead with the tech and not the, the rewards, like the monetary rewards.
Absolutely
Makes
agreed.
sense. So if a new musician or if a musician wanted to enter the NFT space, how should they go about it? Do you have any advice for them?
Yeah, I would really make sure you have an understanding of the technology and not just drop NFTs of your songs because it's a quick way to, like, make some more money. Because that's a short-term solution and you're not thinking about like the long-term uses. The way music NFTs have really been sold to artists has been like, this is an amazing new way for a musical artist to make money because you're not making a lot of money in streaming. So now you could sell this other thing. And that's excited a lot of artists. So they go, okay, cool, let's sell this thing. But they haven't been educated about like what they're selling or why they're selling it. And there was an illusion that like you could just sell them and people will buy them and you're good. But clearly we've seen that people that buy NFTs expect more. And I think with music, they should, because music is not, it hasn't proven to be as like inherently collectible as art, And I think in the real world, people don't really collect music anymore. Like there are people that collect vinyls, but it's kind of niche, and everyone was very quick to throw out all their CDs when streaming came around, So I think when it comes to, if you're going to sell music NFTs, they really need to have some kind of utility. And the best thing that artists have to offer is the connection that they could create between themselves and fans, and using the NFTs to reward loyalty and, creating a token gated message boards where you see articles all the time of like, I saw like Chris Brown, meets fans backstage and they pay him, 10 grand or something to meet him for 1 minute backstage. It's like, okay, so, I mean, clearly there's a lot of value in having interactions with artists. So to me, music NFTs replace that more than they replace like streaming, because, if you're a huge fan of Chris Brown and fuck Chris Brown, by the way, I should use a different, fine, we'll use Chris Brown. If you're a big fan of Chris Brown, and you own his NFT, then you can meet him live and you still own his NFT and you can participate in other things. You're not paying a one-time fee to meet the guy and then you're gone. You get to stay as part of the community, and
it's more about the community,
right?
About money,
exactly. And you have you have a stake because you can, if this being in this community has value to other people, then you can sell it as well. You're not just, it's a lot more of a mutual thing rather than just like you're paying, Chris Brown money and then you're having this experience and then it's over. You get to stay on the inside. And going back, like, artists need to understand like the power that these could have before they, just drop NFTs on people.
You said something about rewarding engagement, and there's a singer-songwriter, well, and TK, right? He started this digital street team called Pedal Power, and he used the power of community to create viral content, and these users, they were rewarded in crypto. Can you see those type of initiatives like forming in the future to involve NFT collectors and fans?
For sure. As long as the thing that you're rewarding people with has some kind of value. I mean, like going back to a lot of the typical PFP projects, you know, a lot of them have done, hey, if you stake your PFP, then we'll reward you with rainbow money, and you're like, sick, I get rainbows. And for some reason this is appealing because it's just like this other thing in the future that people think may have value. But for music, if an artist, and I think there needs to be a lot more infrastructure in place across the music industry for this to work. But I think if artists really kind of can create like an economy around them where they're rewarding holders, you know, whether it's a currency or, you know, on chain or off chain or something that, you know, corresponds to rewards or perks, or like they could create a, like, I mean, what I think of is Taylor Swift, for example. You know, she had all this crazy Ticketmaster stuff, right? If she had an NFT, you know, community with a loyalty program where using, she was able to reward holders just maybe points, like if it wasn't even a currency, but just the points, so you could see who the most loyal Taylor Swift fans are. And then those people were given access to, you know, tickets before everybody else. Then you wouldn't have this like crazy fiasco. Like it would completely change, you know,
the idea,
that whole problem. So artists just need to be, anybody who's offering, you know, dangling a carrot, you know, with rewards you got to think like a step beyond that and think, okay, you're giving people currency. What is that currency for? What can that currency be used for? Because that's been like the Ponzi-nomics that has really like plagued the whole NFT space for a long time.
Nice. I think that's a great wrap up for the Web3 part. As always, the last section is so the listeners get to know you as a person a little bit better. And the first question would be, do you have any hobbies or interests outside of music? And we maybe see some hobbies already in the background. Is that right?
Yeah. I'm a big sports fan. I also collect like memorabilia.
Oh, cool.
These are signed. That's a signed Michael Jordan.
Is it?
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, it's signed by MJ. It's signed by Wilt Chamberlain.
No.
Iverson.
Way.
Yeah, I've had these since I was like a kid.
At your house.
Yeah. My dad bought these when I was a kid, and I've just had them for a long time. But yeah, I'm a big sports fan, a big Sixers fan. And I kind of talked about this, but also huge like comedy nerd. I did improv. I did some sketch writing. Like one of my other dreams was always to like write on Saturday Night Live. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I've, you know, a big part of one thing I love about this Shilly project is it really kind of gives me an outlet to combine all my weird interests, like music, and then I could kind of be, you know, I could create story and you know, flex my comedy chops a little bit. And then obviously my other interests and, you know, NFTs and all that. That's the whole thing. So it's a very weird thing I found that combines like all my weird hobbies. Yeah. Nice. I play volleyball too.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Beach volleyball.
So I gotta ask you this. I'm a huge Back to the Future fan. So this question. Oh, here we go. You're gonna love this question. So this comes natural to me. If you could time travel to any era, which one would you choose, and what would you do there?
I would. Okay, I'm like obsessed with the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
I like write a ton of books on it, and I listen to like, there's this podcast called The History of Rome, and it's like,
okay, cool.
It's like hours and it's like days of podcasts, and I just listened to the whole thing. I got so into it. I really, I would go there, and I would want to go to the Colosseum.
Yeah.
And just like watch people like chop each other's heads off.
The gladiators.
Yeah, it's so sick.
Nice. Yeah. Now you got a video idea for the next Shilly video.
Oh, absolutely.
Time travel to the Colosseum.
That would be sick. All right. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, the idea was born here, right?
Credits to the digital punks. Nice. Last question. Favorite music genres outside of pop punk? Any favorite bands, artists?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a huge like pop music fan.
Mm-hmm.
I've been listening to I love Robin.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know Robin?
Mm-hmm.
Obsessed with Robin. I mean, I'm into like indie too. I love like Bon Iver.
Oh yeah.
One of my favorite artists is Perfume Genius. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. I'm really all over the place. Like I like everything. I mean, like pop punk was my childhood, but essentially like after most of my 20s, I kind of went away from it and got into, indie and alternative and rap and it's really in the past year or so that it's kind of come back and I've been inspired for the first time in a while to like, work on that kind of music. But the cool thing, going back to what we were talking about before with like how Gen Z is kind of into this genre now is I've noticed that Gen Z is very open to kind of mix and matching genres. I think like when we were growing up, everything was very like put in a box and like the kids that like pop punk and emo, it was kind of like that was like this box of people and they, people were either into it or not. And now like everything is kind of mixed. Like MGK, for example, like, he's doing pop punk songs, but he'll do like a full hip hop track and he'll combine them on the same song. And there's not really genres anymore, or at least like when music is at its best right now, there aren't really genres. Sure. So I'm very into that. And that works really well with what we're building with Shilly, and especially with all these different kinds of collaborators who have different styles. Like there was one guy who wrote a verse for a song for Shilly, a band pass holder. Yeah. And it was very kind of like rappy R&B. And we were like, let's try it. And like we had, Shilly sing it and it worked really well and it's a little different. And it's just, I think people are a lot more open to not having to put like things in a genre box these days. Yeah,
that's great. Last famous words. So the last minute, normally we give our guests the stage, so you can say whatever you want. What's important to you? Stage is yours.
Man, I'm looking at I want to address this this last question.
All right.
That you had you wrote a question about the Elizabeth Holmes song.
Let's go. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Shoot.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, I've had a couple people ask this, like, why is the song called Elizabeth Holmes?
Yeah.
She's a convicted fraudster. What made you write a song about her? And for me, okay, so I'm very, I got very in deep with like my obsession with that whole thing. I read the book called Bad Blood, which was about like the exposing her whole fraud.
Yeah.
I've seen like the shows and everything. But I was really fascinated with her. But what inspired this song was like after she first got found out, she met this guy, this like younger guy who like fell in love with her.
Okay.
And I was just really interested in this idea of falling in love with somebody who like, is a bad person, and who the world says is a bad person, but like you can't help yourself, and I think, I mean, it's kind of become I think the song is a little bit of a metaphor. Like we're using her as a metaphor. So it's not like specifically about her. And, it's not pro Elizabeth Holmes. But I just thought it was funny. And also, we just thought we got a kick out of the idea of like Shilly falling for Elizabeth Holmes, inside of prison, and like had this whole fantasy of like, Charles Manson. How Charles Manson had he had like pen pal wives from prison. So just Shilly being one of those like pen pal wives for Elizabeth Holmes just cracked us up. Yeah.
That's cool.
And so it's a weird niche idea, but I think people enjoyed the track. I think it's like a catchy song. So yeah.
No, I think it's cool because you're putting Shilly in different circumstances, different scenarios, that, and you're telling different stories that are, media in the media, covered in the media, and are becoming part of the pop culture. So I think that's a really cool concept. So
yeah. Thank you. I'm glad you guys get it. Yeah, there's some people that are like, this song's not about apes. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. We're trying to. This
I'm
is
gonna
like
sell my pass if not every single song is about apes.
I know.
Great. Anything else you want to add?
I don't think so. I think the big alpha is that next week we're gonna talk about this NFT NYC performance that we're doing, live and then into spatial. So there's going to be a lot more news about that. One other thing. When are you putting this up?
2nd of April.
Oh, never mind. I went to, in the past, I went to NFT LA.
Nice. Time travel.
Yeah. No, I think that's it. I really appreciate you guys for having me on. Actually, I have questions about your hair routine because I'm thinking about doing I've always, since I was young, I've wanted to dye my hair purple like Mark Hoppus. So do you go bleach blonde and then you do the hair?
Yes.
You have to do that whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just did it today and it took like 3 hours.
How often do you do it?
Depending, but the bleaching part probably every 2 or 3 months. I just let it go out a little and then just do the blue part.
Okay.
More often.
All right. I might DM you some questions about.
Yeah, no worries. Shoot.
Yeah.
There you go.
Nice. Thanks so much.
I appreciate you guys. Thanks for following the community, and thanks for what you guys are doing. Telling the world about music and NFTs and Web3.
Well, we're really excited for you and everything that's coming up, what you're building in the metaverse, what's coming up for your collectors. So we will definitely be, I have an access pass, Lucas has, and has a band pass, so naturally we'll be following along. But we'll put some of the links in the show notes so everyone can check it out. Whoever does not know the project yet, and Shwaz and Shilly also listen to the track.
Down.
Boring.
Down.
Exactly. Yeah. So give yourself that. Also, do not miss the NFT NYC performance that's coming up. I think that's going to be an amazing activation. So you may want to look at, no financial advice, but maybe pick up a pass or so to get down to the experience.
We'll be there at the event.
Exactly.
For sure.
We'll be.
You guys are going to be in New York?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. We'll connect. Peace. I just got a message from my my fiance who's downstairs, who told me she'll break up with me if I dye my hair.
Okay, we're gonna cut this out, right? I'm gonna stop recording now. Probably.